Good day, everyone. Sean Henderson here, the Beer Ramble. Once again, another beer review today. Looking at Founders Porter. 6.5% ABV. A robust porter style. 4.75 out of 5, which is a very, very favorable high score, which is super A. Brewed also gives it a high score. Hold on. Okay, I shouldn't be doing that. I may not have any teeth anymore. Boom. Founders is based in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Also, brewery in downtown Detroit. As you can see, my glass looks like very foamy up top, creamy. No absence of hops. He's found this robust porter, the full flavor you deserve and expect. Cozy like velvet. It's a lover, not a fighter. So, man. Definitely has some chocolate already in this. I don't like butterscotch more than chocolate, but it has definitely a chocolate scent to this. Caramel flavors is there. I've had other porters before. I know. I guess Turbo Dog could be there. That would be considered a porter by Abita. I don't know. But can't find any other description. Would be a robust porter style, as they say on Beer Advocate. Would that be considered the same as an imperial stout? Usually, most imperial stouts are a lot stronger, but the Black and Tan is not a porter, but I guess they use that's the Yingling beer, and they combine their porter with their premium beer, make their Black and Tan. So I guess that could be in the same category. Porters are usually more had during the winter months, fall, winter months. I would say more than during the spring or summer. But hey, if you have a porter during the spring or summer, as long as it's beer, right? Now, Beer 101, or beer behind what remember the book, Computer for Dummies, same with Beer for Dummies, you would think this would be considered a stout. Just by the look of it, I know I did for a few years, but yes, now I've been educated on that is not the case. I've been well studied on beverage, on the beer, but I'm still being well studied. I'm still learning day by day. Anyway, on to the taste. Definitely some caramel in this. Definitely some that was some chocolate. It feels like almost a latte, only colder, and has a little more booze in it. Even though I've only had it once before, and I'm not a big. My coffee was plain cream and powder cream and black. Call it a day. But this definitely has that taste to it. I don't know if I'm drinking. It has the same complexities as a Scotch ale, but it's not a Scotch ale. But it has those same characteristics of it. Chocolate, molasses, sort of sweet bread, sort of a you know, type of, you know, not a pumpkin bread, but kind of not an Irish soda bread, but a sort of a bread that is very sweet, and it has some interesting different sweetness to it. I guess I don't say chocolate, but almost something that you would probably serve, maybe a raisin, one of them fruit cakes, raisin cakes, I guess, maybe those same ingredients that's in there, and it has that kind of taste to it. 6.5%. It's not bad, folks. It's just not overly strong. So I do get the chocolate, and I do has a little feeling of coffee that's going down with it. Pretty good porter. Again, about the brewery, as I mentioned, founders, founded in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Their namesake, of course, is their, I think they do either the KBS or the CBS, the County Bourbon Stout and the Kentucky Bourbon Stout, but they're best known, obviously, for their all-day IPA, which is now a sessional IPA, which is at I think, if I recall, maybe 4.5%, I believe. I could be wrong on this one. But then also they have their all-day IPA. They're more their sessional IPA. Centennial IPA, which is a little bit stronger. They have their the Dirty Bastard, which is their Scotch Ale, wee heavy Scotch Ale brew, and their Solid Gold Lager, which has done quite well. I think that was released last year, and I remember making a remark to the guys when we did our Wednesday night get together that it was I thought it was just as good, or probably, you know, better than Budweiser, and I probably would pick it. Only problem is, if the price was a little bit less expensive, I probably would get it, but more often. But that is a pretty good lager that they put out. So Michigan now has really, as I've mentioned, you know, particularly that part of the country, the Midwest, a lot of good beers being put out there. You have the other brewery out there, Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan, and there are a few others in that state, but those are the two that are quite known, not just in that region, obviously, but pretty much, I would say now nationally. I mean, we get a lot of their beers here in Alabama, the Bell's beers, and also a lot of the Founders. So distribution is pretty good, particularly coming from up there down here. And I'm sure there's a lot of room for growth with that company. Also, they have I think a barrel age Scotch Ale that is a little bit strong. I think that's also at 12%. And I think that is let's see, and then there's the breakfast stout, as I mentioned, and then there's the barrel age, you know, backwards. Okay, the backwards bastard Scotch Ale. That's as good, and the KBS, barrel stout. So farmers are really putting a lot of good beers out there that a lot of people that really do enjoy. Typically living on the East Coast, here in the Southeast, definitely throughout the Midwest. Again, this is more of a winter beer than anything. I don't look at this as a summer thing or fall, but for those who like porters in there, but maybe that's just my personal preference that these type of beers I can have during the fall, winter months when it's kind of cold outside. You know, maybe I could take this out of the refrigerator, leave it on the counter for about maybe a good 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then I can go ahead and pour it and have a little more of a bit of a more kick. I mean, how more of a kick you can get is 6.5%, you know. I don't know. So Food pairing wise, I can't think of anything really that I could pair this with. Maybe you could say, and I, again, this maybe could be a nightcap beer, dessert beer, possibly. That's what's coming to mind right now with this one. I don't look at this as a nothing more. I don't think of any foods I can compare this with. Maybe if you want to say something like a dark meat or maybe a stew, but I wouldn't pair that with that. Grilled meats, roast beef, pot roast, whatever. But I think this would be more of a dessert beer. If you want to do a nice chocolate cake, fine. If you want to do like a butter pecan or sort of a chocolate ice cream, but I think by itself, in the flavor of this, I think that probably would be a dessert in itself. This. So I'm gonna give the score. So they said about close to a 5 on Beer Advocate. I'm going to say the same. I'm going to give this a 9.1. So that is about an A for me on this one. Very enjoyable porter. You get your hands on it, try it. John Henderson, Pierre, the Beer Round. Keep on watching as always. Cheers. Porter, 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 porter.